What's up? My name is Kamal, and today I just want to talk about the camshaft position sensor and crankshaft sensor connectors for Nissans. Mine in particular is a 2004 350Z. I'm basically just in the middle of replacing my camshaft sensors and my crankshaft. I actually did the driver's side from over here actually. The problem with the passenger side is when I was trying to get it off, one of the teeth inside here broke. You can see how there's just the one hook on the right side and the left side broke off. And part of the problem with that is, you know, it's in the car, it connects to it like this, so you can't really see what's going on under there. You just gotta push this forward and try and work it off. But the problem with these is, even when you push this forward to release the connector from the sensor, those teeth don't want to get over the little T on the sensor itself. And really what I should have done in order to not break this is just remove the 10mm bolt that holds the sensor in place on the back of the engine and just take this all out as one. Because what I found is using like a pocket screwdriver or just a small screwdriver, and with the sensor still in there, going in there and just lifting up the little teeth that hold onto the sensor, it comes out easily. The driver's side sensor, surprisingly, I actually did remove it like that. I removed the sensor and connector as one, but when I pushed down the connector to release it, it actually did come out on its own, so it's kind of hit or miss. The one tooth did, I'd put the sensor back in and like to see if it would hold it in there, and it does still hold pretty well with just the one, but I just wanted to get a new connector and do it right. And then that's kind of like the other problem is the local Nissan dealer here told me that they don't sell single connectors. Nissan only wants to sell you the whole wiring harness. So what I ended up doing is on Amazon, there's a guy that sells these. I guess there's two different types. One kind of has the open part there and this one's closed. This is the one I need. I'll put a link in the description for these if you want to order them. The only other option you have is to like go to a junkyard and just find a VQ engine, just cut the wires and take the old connector. So here's the other thing is I got the connector out from in the car. You could technically just cut the wires on this one in the car and then cut these to where you'd like, and you can just solder or just do some kind of crimp. I have some of these that I use every now and then. These are the ones in particular that I like to use. But if you don't want to mess with doing that, especially because the space back here is kind of tight to be doing that, you can see there's you can disconnect the connector, or take it apart, I mean, and remove the individual wires still with like the insulation on the back and everything. I figured that's what I'd show you guys how to do on this one. And once I remove the wires from this one, basically what I just showed you in the car, I'll just plug those in to this new connector and then I'm good to go. But yeah, you can see the two teeth in there. So before I get to this connector, I figured I'd just show you guys what I was talking about. If by chance you haven't broken yours, you're just watching this video. When we snap this one in place, and you push this to release the connector from the sensor, you can see it's in the release position, but it still doesn't want to go. And that's just with the one tooth holding on to it. But that's what I'm saying is, inside there, if you just slightly push that up, see how it just kind of worked itself out on its own. So really that's what I was saying I should have done, or either any of you can do if you're in the middle of taking yours off or not. So the first thing with getting these wires out is removing the little white cover here. I just have this set of pliers, just kind of grab onto this. You don't have to squeeze too tight, and that should just pop right out. And then the next thing is in there, you can see those tiny little green tabs, and those are what help keep the metal connector side in there. And what I did to remove those is just took this very small flathead and just put it underneath that green part and pushed it down. And then with my other screwdriver, those tabs are pretty delicate, so you do want to be careful. go. And you can see those little tabs in there. Yeah, you know, when I was wedging this in there, you know, they can bend all the way down to the bottom where they bottom out. And then just use this one to push the wires out. And there's a very small ledge on the bottom of these where I guess those little green bits kind of hold it forward so it doesn't slide out when you put the connector onto the sensor. So now all I have to do is slide the wires from in the car, put them in like these were in there, and then snap this white piece back in place. Something I did was I took a picture of this connector with the wire still in there, so that way I knew which wire went into which slot. It's not a bad idea, just so you don't confuse it and then have to take it apart again because you have a fault code or something. Be gentle and take your time with this because, you know, it is plastic and that's why this thing ended up breaking in the first place. And that's the other thing is when I was having trouble, I looked up videos on how other people did it and they basically did the same thing. They just pushed this in. And then what broke it is I was using a flathead like this against the sensor and twisting it, trying to get it to come off, and that's how it ended up breaking the one tooth. So that's why afterwards I tried this method and it comes right out that way. So yeah, I wish I'd done that in the first place, but it's not a big deal. We can fix it, and that's why I'm making this video, is to help anyone else out there to fix their issue as well. And like I said, if you don't want to mess with taking the wires out, I mean, I guess you could just cut them, and there are butt connectors like this where you put each end of the wire into one of these and you just basically crimp it down. But in my opinion, the best way to go about it is not having to cut and splice the wires at all and doing it the way I just showed you guys, which is removing the wires from the old connector and putting them into the new connector. I'm gonna get this together real quick and let you guys know how it goes. So I just got the wires in the new connector. You can see that they're all the way to the end, and also those little green tabs are up against the connector and not still hanging low, so you know they're snapped in there. And also when you put them, slide those pins in, it does make a tiny little snapping noise. I actually tried doing one at a time, but with the way that this insulation is back here, I couldn't get the other ones in there without kind of bending them a lot, so I didn't want to bend them too much and risk actually breaking the metal part of the butt connector. So I just actually removed that one again and slid all 3 wires into the connector at once. Depending on which sensor you're doing, you might have more slack in the wires without this like heat insulation covering all of it. And then the only other thing was, you can see the little orange insulation bits. The one on the end here, this black one, I did have to kind of use my screwdriver and kind of stuff it in there because it was sticking out more than the other 2. So now the last thing to do is just snap that white piece in. The other thing with this is this ledge here helps keep those green tabs in the up position so that these can't slide out on their own. All right, so that's it, and basically back to the way it was OEM in a way, except it's green instead of gray. All right, well, I'm gonna finish getting this thing back together, but thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to anyone having troubles with their Nissan camshaft or crankshaft connectors, because they are pretty tricky, and that's kind of how I ended up breaking mine, is I've never really messed with a connector like this before. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel to help support the videos I put out, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.